Has this ever happened to you? It's a day like any other. You're chilling by your dad's shoe factory when you start digging around and find an ancient board game called Jumanji. You pop that bad boy open, you start playing with your homeboys, and whoops, sucked into the jungle for 20 odd years. Well, when that happens to you, obviously, the first thing is you gotta win the game. You gotta get your friends back together, start playing again, because if you don't win the game, you, true story, don't go back in time, meaning that these kids, yeah, they're orphaned because of you. Their parents die in a plane crash, true story. Flight 815, the one from Lost. I don't know if you knew that. Now, speaking of Lost, I'm great at segues. 1,000 of you wanted me to build an Oops, I Lose, where I run as many lose condition cards as possible. But the goal is still to win. Of course, it's still to win. I am a winner, a born winner. Everything I do is a victory royale. It is tough to win, though, when 25% of the deck makes us lose. It's like being told there are 4 doors you can pick. One of them leads to a gorilla. Of course, the goal is still to win, so good luck fighting him. Now, how are we going to pilot such a unique deck? With extreme skill. I put a skateboarder, so you know I'm talking skill. But before we can hop right into the silliness, if you can't already tell, I'm the most unhinged deck builder on YouTube. So if you've got a weird, wacky, silly, goofy idea for a deck, challenge me in the comments down below. The one with the most upvotes, I gotta build. And while you're down there, hey, leave a like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Now, this deck is basically looking down the barrel of a loaded gun, in the sense that it's very dangerous, but we still pack a punch at least. We got Slaughter Pact, 0 mana, destroy target non-black creature, double-edged sword though, because if we don't pay 3, we lose the game on our upkeep. Removal is good though, so we like this one. We've got Pact and Negation, 0 mana, counter target spell. We love that. Double-edged sword though. We don't pay 5, we lose the game. At least we got removal. Removal is good. Then we got Pact of the Titan, 0 mana, create a 4/4 red giant creature token. This is at least a quadruple-edged sword, because it's just bad. Paying 5 mana or losing the game for a 4/4 sucks. This card's bad. But if you go and interview everybody on the street, they'll tell you excitedly what is always good: extra turn spells. So we got Final Fortune, 2 red mana for an instant. That's super cheap. And we get an extra turn after this one. That's super safe. Except we lose the game at the end of that turn. We got a couple of these. Last Chance, Warrior's Oath, Alchemist Gambit. Don't worry, the cleave thing doesn't exist. Now, we got a bunch of extra turns, which is just what we need, because we're going to cast Phage the Untouchable for like 7 mana, and we're not going to lose the game because we're going to cast it from our hand, and we're going to give it haste because it has an extra turn, and then we're going to swing it, and we're going to eliminate a player. That's fun, because we win. But if we lose, then they win. So we need to win before we lose, and how are we going to do that? We're not going to lose. We're going to dodge all the things that make us lose. It's very simple. We're just going to not lose. The easiest way to do that is with Obeka, Brute, Chronologist, 1 blue, black, red, Ogre Wizard, 3/4. We can tap her, end the turn. That's a way of not losing, because we're going to exile all the stuff on the stack, like things that could kill us. Say Final Fortune is about to behead us, medieval style. Well, we end the turn, and then it goes away. No more problems. It's very nice. Usually it's for like clones and stuff, but not anymore. Obeka is going to stop the cold, icy iron sickle of the Grim Reaper from severing our mortal coil from this realm. All right, sweet. Sundial of the Infinite is 2 mana for a 1 mana tap, end the turn. Pretty cool. Discontinuity, 6 mana, instant. We can end the turn. Cool. Time Stop, end the turn. Stifle to counter the triggered ability that would kill us. And Glorious End to end the turn. But then the next end step, we lose the game, so we might have to do it again. It's a whole thing. We kind of end up looking like, hey, where'd the stack go? So many ending the turn stuff. It's also pretty fun and kind of silly to just kind of like Uno skip somebody's turn with those like big expensive mana. Like, hey, I just skipped your turn. It's fun. Now, of course, you got to be careful. We need stuff in our graveyard. Because of stuff like Lich's Mastery, 6 mana for a legendary enchantment, we can't lose the game. That's very nice. But whenever we lose life, for each life we lose, exile a permanent we control or a card from our hand or our graveyard. So if we have nobody in our graveyard or our hand, we eventually sack everything we own until we sack the Lich's Mastery, and then we lose the game. We've also got Nefarious Lich, 4 mana. If we get dealt damage, instead exile those cards from our graveyard. Nice. If we can't, we lose the game. Gulp. And when this guy leaves play, we lose the game. Isn't that fun? Forbidden Crypt says, hey, 5 mana, whenever you would draw a card, actually return target card from your graveyard to your hand, but if you can't, you lose the game. And if a card would be put into your graveyard, instead exile that card from the game. So we really are using a lot of stuff in our graveyard to not lose the game. Immortal Coil, 4 mana. Hey, you can exile 2 stuff from your graveyard to draw a card. If damage would be dealt to you, prevent that damage. Remove a card in your graveyard for each damage prevented this way. Hey, whenever there are no cards in your graveyard, you lose the game. That is really bad. Luckily, Out of the Tombs exists. It's 3 mana as an enchantment. It's a self-mill engine with the Eon counters, which is such a cool sounding thing. I love an Eon, to be honest. But if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it because you milled the entire thing, instead return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If you can't, you lose the game, so it can kill us. Isn't that fun? On the opposite side of the spectrum, instead of the graveyard, we got Marina Vendrell's Grimoire. It's wicked. Sick reference. 6 mana, draw cards, and yeah. Basically, you lose life, you discard those cards, and if you have no cards in hand, you die from that. So it's bad, because basically, I guess you can like throw stuff into your graveyard. It's a whole thing. It's a lot. We need a balance basically between our hand and our graveyard at all times. And don't forget, the goal is still to win. Are you all familiar with I Can't Believe It's Not Butter? These cards are kind of like that, in the sense that I can't believe it doesn't just say lose the game on them. We got 5 mana for Leveler. Comes into play, remove your library. That was Library of Alexandria, which burned down historically. Very fun. When you have no cards in your library and you go to draw, you lose the game. So Leveler says, hey, basically, you're 1 draw card away from dying. Isn't that fun? Then we got Inverter of Truth, 4 mana, exiles your library, same thing as the other guy, then shuffle all cards from your graveyard into your library. That's not too bad. You don't lose from drawing nothing from your library, but Forbidden Crypt will kill you, and Immortal Coil will kill you because there are no cards in your graveyard. You lose the game. That is bad. We need stuff in our graveyard, and if our graveyard is now our library, then we are losing really fast. Eater of Days is 4 mana for Temu version of Sundial of the Infinite, because it's not exactly what I wanted, but it's more of like a monkey's paw type situation. I don't like skipping my next 2 turns. I'm going to be very far behind and probably lose. Then we got Archfiend of the Dross. If you have no oil, you lose the game. That's just like real life. Abyssal Persecutor says you can't win the game, so you can't win, and then your opponents can't lose, and that's bad. Phyrexian Negator says, hey, 3 mana, whenever this guy's dealt damage, sack that many permanents. And a lot of your stuff that's keeping you from not losing says when it leaves, you lose. So you don't want to sack those guys, but you also don't want this guy to take damage because then you're sacrificing your land and then you're set far behind, etc. Plague Reaver says, hey, sack each other creature you control on your end step. At least we can give them to our opponents. But yeah, that's bad. Soul Gorger Org is 5 mana, comes into play, sets your life total to 1. That is scary. At least when he leaves, you gain life back. But yeah, you'll probably get lightning bolted. Demonic Pact, 4 mana, you lose the game in like 4 turns. Gulp, that's scary. Now, of course, you have many questions, such as the main one being, why are we playing them? Well, obviously, it is just like this hamburger, beyond me. You see what I did there? Anyway, any player worth their salt will never actually cast these onto their own battlefield, but this is the oops, I lose. So we're going to be doing it randomly. With stuff like Warp World, 8 mana, everybody shuffles everything you own into your library, then reveal that many cards from the top of your library, you put everything onto the battlefield, and then everybody does that. It's fun and scary. We've also got Wild Evocation, 6 mana, beginning of each player's upkeep, you reveal a card at random if it's a land onto the battlefield. If it's a not land, then you cast it without paying its mana cost, if able, and you don't get a choice. You gotta cast that Eater of Days that you randomly found in your hand. Or you Warp World into a World Gorger Dragon, which would be thematic, but also terrifying because you exile all other permanents you control. Or you just land on that Demonic Pact, and now you got like 4 turns before you lose. So, how do we win? Well, you see, they win if we lose. So, if we can't lose, then they can't win, meaning we win. So we've got stuff like the Golden Throne, 4 mana, if we would lose the game, instead exile the Golden Throne, thank the God Emperor, and your life total becomes 1. We've also got Lich's Mirror, 5 mana artifact, if we would lose, instead shuffle your hand, graveyard, and all permanents you own into your library, then draw 7, and your life total becomes 20. Very nice, repeatable too. Stunning Reversal, 4 mana, next time you would lose the game this turn, instead draw 7, your life total becomes 1, exile this bad boy, and of course my favorite, Platinum Angel, 7 mana, you can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game. We are basically walking a very delicate tightrope between winning the game, losing the game at all times. So let's just say we got our Platinum Angel, we can't lose the game, or we got our Packed Weapon, we don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. We then cast something scary like Pain's Reward. It's 3 mana, but we can bid any amount of life, more than our life total actually. It's not like paying life, it's actually bidding, so it's a different thing, which is why we also run Illicit Auction. Because we can bid more life than we have, going down into like giga negatives, and we don't lose the game because we have all these things that keep us alive. So we use Profane Transfusion, a 9 mana sorcery, swapping life totals with a different player, making a really big horror creature guy, and then they die. And then we could do it again with Soul Conduit with somebody else. And then we could do it again with Magus of the Mirror, sacking it, and then exchanging life totals with target opponent only during our upkeep, which is cool. And then, of course, my favorite, the absolute Jay Gatsby moment, is repay in kind. We were at negative a billion or whatever. We can now pay 7 mana. Each player's life total becomes the lowest life total among all players. You just boosh, wipe everybody out from the game. It is sweet. Now it is, oops, you lose because, now your life total is my life total. It's super fun. Or we can bust out the Hive Mind. 6 mana enchantment. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, everybody gets a copy. And they don't get a choice. They got to cast it. So finally, Pact of the Titan is putting in work. Because if they don't have red, they can't pay the upkeep cost, and they lose the game. Or if you want to give them one last chance, you can give them last chance. The way it works because of the stack is you get your extra turn first, but we have Obeka, so we can just end that turn. Then our next opponent loses the game, loses the game, loses the game. And guess what? We are the last player standing. We win the game. Isn't that fun and sweet? Now, of course, you might be wondering, is this deck consistent in any way of winning? Well, let me tell you, we got Gamble, so we can go and find our Platinum Angel every single time. Don't you worry. But even if we don't, isn't life a gamble? We all get losing hands. But knowing we are going to fail is beautiful. The deck is stacked against us, and yet we still play. We have to play. Because even if you think this is your last chance, every day is a new stack. You were the Platinum Angel all along. And if Robin Williams could survive in the jungle for 20 years, then so can you in your regular day-to-day life. I believe in you. I got you. But that does bring us to the end of the video, though. If you liked it, leave a like. If you subscribe, subscribe. If you want to support me, hey, join the Patreon. I would much appreciate it. And I got a Discord. It is linked in the description down below. Give it a join. It's fun and free and cool. And if you have something you want me to build, leave that in the comments down below. Again, whatever gets the most likes, I got to build. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.